Hey guys, today I am making this video to show you how I have made over $1 million US in sales on Amazon.com in the past 6 months. So I've sold over $1 million in 6 months, and my goal at the beginning of this year, prior to starting this year, was to sell 2 million US dollars on Amazon.com. And based on the fact that we're coming into Q3 and Q4, I should blow this number out of the water. But I want to be as transparent as possible with all of you guys and show you exactly my sales numbers, because I know a lot of YouTubers will make all these claims, or people who say they sell on Amazon will make all these claims, fake screenshots and stuff. This is all real, and this is my store that I sell on. So as we can see, so far this year, I've done almost 1.2 million, 1.173 million in sales, and this is on Amazon.com. And then we can see, because I sell solely on Fulfillment by Amazon, everything that I sell is purchased by me first prior to actually selling it. So we can see when I switch this to Amazon, the only number that changes is the last year number. This stays the exact same. Once again, you can see last year I did mainly fulfillment by merchant when I was selling on Amazon.com, and so that's how I got to almost 700,000. But when you switch that to fulfilled by Amazon, then that number goes down to 244,000, and we can see this number still stays at close to 1.2 million. And so the title of this video is how I made $1 million in sales on Amazon.com in 6 months. So I'm going to show you that. So we'll go to custom, and we'll go from January 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2019. Apply. And we can see I hit $1,043,000 in sales in 6 months. So I'm very happy with these numbers, and they're actually a little higher than what I expected, but so far so good. And we can see my average sales per order item is $266.12. So obviously I'm sourcing higher value items, and I do sell some lower value items as well. So the really high value items, the $500-$600 items, they all kind of even themselves out based on the fact that some are higher, some are lower. I sell some $50 items, and I sell some $700-$800 items. So it does all even itself out, and it works out to an average of $266 per unit. And then when we go for the whole year, it stays pretty close, $269.63. So that's my year so far. We can see January started out at 146,000. February went down to 80,000. A couple things happened. I stocked out a little bit. Ran out of stock of a couple of my fast-selling ASINs, and then it took a little while to get back in stock because a lot of the items that I source is from within Canada. So I'm just going to take a second to talk about that. So I live in Canada, and I mainly sell on Amazon.com. That changed from last year, where I mainly sold on Amazon.ca last year. Kind of changed the way my business went this year. But as of this year, the majority of the items that I'm sourcing, since I live in Canada, come directly from Canada. And so it is a bit of a process to get the items across the border. And that is where I use prep centers. So there's several prep centers that I use in Canada. And one of the prep centers that I use is called Stallion Express. So I can put a link in the description below so you can sign up. I think you get a free $25 if you sign up using my link. So I'll put that in the description below, but that's besides the point. So Stallion is one of the prep centers that I use for selling on Amazon. And so what Stallion does is I send my inventory directly to them. So if I order from an online retailer, let's say for example Toys R Us. So if I make a Toys R Us order, and like I said in my previous video, Toys R Us is still available in Canada, so it's not like Toys R Us shut down in Canada like it did in the States. So Toys R Us is still around. But let's say I make a Toys R Us order, and say I order 10 items, 10 toys. So then those 10 toys I order, and I put in Stallion Express's address with my name. So I put my name, Ryan, care of Stallion Express, or care of FBA Prep, depending on which prep center you're using. I think for Stallion it's FBA prep. And so then they're gonna know when it arrives, it's mine, and then they know that they have to prep it for FBA. So any of the items that go to Stallion Express, I've never touched and I've never seen. I've never been to Stallion Express. I live in BC, which is on the west coast, and Stallion Express is in Ontario, which is in central Canada. So I've never been there or anything, and I don't ever touch the inventory. So that's a great thing, is it's very hands off, and it allows you to work from anywhere in the world. That's where Amazon FBA allows you to live the laptop lifestyle, or the fact that you can literally sell from anywhere in the world. And that's a huge positive, because you can be selling 5,000 items in 6 months and never touch any of them. And so that's the beauty of prep centers. And now I pay my prep centers very well. Like they're not cheap, but they are making me so much money that it's worth it to spend the money on them, so that I can be hands off and be able to go on vacations or do what I want when I want, and not have to worry about constant shipments coming in. And when I order, I usually order in very bulk quantities, so they're coming in on pallets and skid after skid. So I can't be having that at my house, obviously. So basically, that's why I use the prep centers. And that allows me to get the items across the border. Now, there's a couple of ways to go about getting stuff across the border. There is the informal entry, which you're allowed to take 800 US dollars and across the border per day per warehouse. Now, that $800 is the selling price. So say an item's selling for $200, you can only take 4 across. And say that item cost you $100, you can't take 8. You can only take 4, because it's $800 US based on the selling price. And so that's one way to go about it. And I do that with certain items. The other way is, there's another way where you can take up to $2,500 per day per warehouse, but it requires a little bit more paperwork. And then finally, there's something called formal entry. And this is what I use a lot. I just started that this year. Formal entry allows you to take an unlimited amount, but you have to pay duty, and it does cost a bit more, but you can bring as much stuff as you want across. So obviously that's what I have to use to be selling almost 1.2 million in 6.5 months. If I was doing $800 per warehouse per day, I would not be able to even physically get this much inventory across the border, unless I was just ordering all my inventory in the United States. Now, I do order inventory in the United States, and I use a prep center in the United States as well. But I just use one prep center, and it is in a state that is tax-free, so I don't pay any sales tax on the inventory that I order in the United States. That's a great thing. And then in Canada, when I'm sourcing items from within Canada, from say Toys R Us, then I'm paying sales tax on that. So if it's getting shipped to Ontario, I'm paying 13% HST on that inventory. But at the end of the year, or quarterly, depending on when you file your GST HST, you will get that full amount back, because that is goods that were purchased for resale. And since those goods were purchased for resale, you don't have to pay the sales tax on it. So you pay it up front, and then you get it back at the end of the year, and that is called an input tax credit. Now, if you have more questions about this, I would suggest contacting your accountant, because I'm not an accountant, and that's something that you would want to discuss with them. But this is just my understanding of it, and what I've went over with my accountant based on that. The next thing is, once it arrives at the prep center, then they send me a list. So they're basically saying, we received these 10 toys that you ordered from Toys R Us, whatever the toy's name is. And then they'll ask me, do you want us to keep it in these boxes, or would you like us to reconcile them? So then if they have to reconcile them, it's based on which warehouse it has to go to. So say all 10 came in one box, and then when you create the shipment going to FBA, it requires you to have, say, 3 different warehouses, and one is 3 units, one is 3 units, and the other one's 4 units. Then you can't obviously ship them in that same box of 10. So you have to get Stallion Express, or whichever prep center you're using, to put them into separate boxes. So they'll be putting them into 3 different boxes. And at that point, that's when they're getting them ready to go to those 3 warehouses. And you do pay a little bit more of a fee if they have to reconcile it because it's more work for them. But most times you will have to do that unless everything is shipped in very low quantities. But most times stuff is shipped combined and then you have to get them to split it up. But that's just part of growing this sort of business. Now, this same sort of thing can be done at your own house. It just requires a little bit more work. So say you're just starting out and you don't want to be having that added cost of the prep center, then you can just do it from your own house. You just have to prep it yourself. And the prepping part is actually pretty easy. It's just when you get to this level where you're selling so many different items and larger items and stuff like that, you can't really do it out of your house. You need a warehouse. And for me, I was actually just looking into getting a warehouse and trying to cut down on this prep center cost. But I realized that based on how much I'm paying the prep center, it would be, obviously I'd save a lot of money, but it would be so much more work for me. And at the end of the day, I want to work less rather than work more. And that's the beauty of selling in the Fulfillment by Amazon program. And that's why I've went 100% to Fulfillment by Amazon. Because previously when I was doing the merchant fulfilled and fulfilled by merchant, I was having to package so many orders and then get them prepped. And they had to be confirmed. You had to confirm the shipment by midnight. Basically by midnight. It had to be confirmed by midnight based on the date that it had to be shipped by. So I was constantly having to work until midnight, or I would be procrastinating and then have to get that done by midnight. But the thing with Fulfillment by Amazon is they take care of all the fulfillment, they take care of all of the customer service, they take care of all the returns. So there is a lot of perks with using the Fulfillment by Amazon program. Obviously, a little more expensive, but here in Canada, with the shipping costs as high as they are, it actually tends to be, what I've found is it tends to be cheaper to use the Fulfillment by Amazon program rather than having to pay shipping if you're offering free shipping on your items, because our shipping here in Canada is significantly more expensive than it is in the United States. And so that's kind of how I get my goods across the border, and that's how I've been able to source so much from Canada and get it into the United States. And so what business model do I use? Do I use wholesale? Do I use private label? Do I use retail arbitrage? Do I use online arbitrage? As of this year, with this 1.2 million, almost 1.2 million in sales, it has been 100% online arbitrage. And that is, I used to do a little bit of wholesale, but it really wasn't making me that much money. And I wanted to be able to say to you guys and just be able to tell people that I sell 100% online arbitrage. And that's what I've done this year. So each and every one of these products that I have sold out of these almost 5,000 have all been purchased from online retailers in both Canada and the United States. Majority in Canada. So for people who say you can't do online arbitrage, or there's too many limits and stuff like that, or you're going to get your account suspended, they're taking retailers' receipts, online retailers' receipts now, and it has not been any issues. If someone reports my item, I send them in the receipt that I've got from my online retailer, and I've had no issues. So for anyone saying that online arbitrage is too tough or you can't make money from it, they haven't used tactical arbitrage and they aren't doing it the right way. So if you haven't checked out the FBA Freedom course, that's the course that I created on online arbitrage and showing you how to source high value items and make high profits with selling on Amazon. That is the course that'll be the first link in the description below. And then also check out that Stallion Express link so that you can check out Stallion Express and give them a try so you can grow your own Amazon FBA business if you are looking to source within Canada. And if you live in the United States or in a different country, you can still source within Canada as well because you have the ability to use that prep center. But the same thing goes for the United States. If you're located in the United States and you want to source in the United States to sell on Amazon.com, you can use prep centers or you can get the items shipped to your house as well. And so let's go. I'll just show you a couple more. Some people always like to say that these are fake numbers or something, that I'm photoshopping this or something. So month to date is actually pretty low. And my Prime Day was not very good. We can see July 15th and 16th, I believe, were the two Prime days. So $11,394, which I expected way higher numbers on Prime Day, but I think that people were looking for just discounts and I didn't have any discounts. So that's likely what contributed to these 2 days. But $3,844, like that's a bad day for me. And I've had a few bad days lately because I've ran out of stock of a couple of my fastest selling items. But then we got right back up, did 13,000 the next day, 11,000, and then today was just that, which hasn't updated because I actually sold significantly more than that today. I was around 10 to 12,000 today as well. But we can see that same month last year I did 31,000, and then last month 262,000. So this month is lower, but we are only halfway through. And then we can also see custom. We can do what I've sold in the last 2 years on Amazon.com. That is, no, that's not right. Oh, if we go both Amazon and seller, there we go. Then we can see in the last 2 years, I've done 1.7 million. But keep in mind, this is just Amazon.com. I also sell on Amazon.ca. Majority of my sales last year were on Amazon.ca. Majority of my sales this year, Amazon.com. Focusing on the larger market, focusing on faster selling items that I can purchase in bulk and then move really quickly to get turnover on that money. And that's the key with Amazon, is to constantly keep reinvesting your profits. It's a very capital intensive business, so you do require a lot of capital in order to have success with it, especially if you're using the online arbitrage and the FBA model. Then you need to be purchasing all the items up front. So if you only have, let's say you only have $1,000 to invest, then it's going to take a long time to obviously get to $1.2 million in sales, because you're going to sell that 1,000, maybe come out with 1,200, then reinvest that 12, and it does keep compounding. And that's the beauty about it for people who are starting out with little investments, is there's nothing wrong with that, because you can grow, you can scale. I started when I was in university. I had no money and I started selling on Amazon, and I've grown it now. I've been doing it for I think 7 years now, and I've grown it to this point, and it's going to continue to grow because each year, every single year that I've been selling on Amazon, my business has been growing. Every single year, my business has been growing. So this year, I'll probably do well over 2 million, probably 2.5 million on Amazon.com, probably about 500,000 on Amazon.ca. And that's just because I'm not focusing on Amazon.ca. But just keep in mind that this can be done. Anyone can do it if you're following the right business model and if you're following the right mentor or teacher that can help you to grow to this level, because business can be scaled and it can take time. I didn't learn off of anyone. I learned by myself. I taught myself everything that I know. And so that's where it took me a lot longer, because I didn't take a course or I didn't have a mentor that could help me through and help me grow the business. So I was just using my own business models that I learned from business school in university, and from just my own experience with selling all sorts of things that I've been selling my whole life. And so that's helped a little bit, but it did take me a long time to get to this point. Whereas these businesses now can scale way quicker if they have the proper training and learn it the right way. So I'll just quickly move this over, and we can see here is the graph view. So you can see literally I was barely selling on Amazon last year, start of the year. Went from 3,000 to 146, then from 15,000 to 80,000, 22,000 to 130,000, 8,000 to 119,000, and this was the biggest spike. Went from 11,000 in May last year to 303,000 in May this year, and that's US dollars. So if you are in Canada, that's around 400,000 Canadian in 1 month. So I was averaging over 10,000 a day that month, which was pretty awesome. And then June went down a little bit, but still from 19,000 to 262,000. And then last year started to pick up in July a little bit. So I got 37,000 in sales, And then this year so far, which we're halfway through the month, or about 3/4 of the way through the month, now I'm at 130,000, and last year was 37,000. So I just want to show you guys where you can get to and where you can really scale your business, because I would have never thought at the beginning of last year when I was selling $3,000 in inventory on Amazon.com that this year I'd be on pace to do well over $2 million in sales. I would have never thought that. But with the proper determination and with figuring everything out and using the online arbitrage business model and using the Amazon FBA program, it has allowed me to take my business to the next level on the Amazon.com marketplace and generate the majority of my income from Amazon.com, whereas last year only a small amount of my income was coming from Amazon.com. So just keep that in mind. And the other thing is, when I was doing merchant fulfilled, the margins were a lot lower. Now with the Fulfillment by Amazon program, the margins are higher. I'm making more money off each sale, and that's allowing me to achieve more financial freedom. I wanted to make this video today to show you how I made over $1 million US in sales on Amazon.com in 6 months. And so I hope this video helped you guys, maybe gave you some inspiration to want to grow your own Amazon business, or if you haven't already, to start your own Amazon business, because it can be done, it can be scaled, and you can take your business to the next level. I've been doing this full time for 3 years now, so I have not worked a day in the sense of going into a job and working for someone else in over 3 years as a result of selling on Amazon FBA. So if that's the point you want to get to, you want to be able to quit your job, you want to be able to earn a full-time income or significantly more than a full-time income as a result of selling on Amazon FBA, then make sure you at least subscribe to my channel, because I try to put out as much content as I possibly can that will help you to at least learn how to sell on Amazon and grow an Amazon FBA business. And if you're wanting to scale that business faster, grow your business faster, and take your business to the next level on a faster scale, then make sure you check out my course as well, the FBA Freedom course. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope this video really helped you guys. If you did enjoy it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It really helps me. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more. Thanks for watching, guys.